Who to trust when giving birth in ancient Greece, gods or midwives? Who or what would you put your faith in if you were getting ready to give birth in the middle of widespread illness and a high percentage of maternal and infant mortality? Medical professionals or the gods? Some people may choose one or the other without any room for doubt. In ancient Greece, pregnant women who were close to giving birth were most frequently engaged in both activities. Why wouldn't they want to do that? Why shouldn't they take precautions to guarantee that their child will be born healthy? It is easy to forget that things like delivery were still quite risky in ancient Greece because of its reputation as a center of medical innovation and philosophical enlightenment. Therefore, it is important to keep this in mind. Even with the advancements in health and technology that we have today, giving birth is still hardly a walk in the park, and it was most likely much more dangerous in ancient Greece. Midwives and doctors who had the necessary medical training and expertise were readily available in ancient Greece, and they both played a vital part in ensuring the delivery of healthy children. Despite this, maternal and newborn mortality rates remained high because the knowledge and technology that were available were not always sufficient to avoid or resolve difficulties during labor. This was especially true when considering the prevalence of the disease. Due to the inherent unpredictability and danger of labor, expectant mothers were compelled to pray to many deities to improve their chances of having a healthy and uneventful delivery. Midwives. Multiple historical texts attest to the practice of midwifery in ancient Greece. These midwives were known as main, and they were also called latrines. The training that midwives undertake prepares them to assist women throughout labor and to deliver children healthily. This education may have been imparted to them by their mothers, Hippocratic physicians, other midwives, or all of the aforementioned sources combined. A person didn't need to have given birth to work as a midwife. However, it was believed beneficial for them to have experienced the process so that they could provide enough support to women who were going through it. Even though these midwives held medical degrees, there was a limit to how much assistance they could provide to expectant mothers during the labor and delivery process. In times past, when medical knowledge and equipment were not as advanced as they are now, giving birth was fraught with peril, and for either the mother or the infant to perish during the process. These dangers were very real, terrible, and beyond the control of human beings. In ancient Greece, the secular and religious spheres were frequently and intricately linked with one another. Belief in deities played a significant role in the development of people's understanding of philosophy, medicine, and science. Therefore, it was only natural that women would include their beliefs in the gods in their preparations for childbirth. Gods in ancient Greece. Many gods were worshipped for a wide variety of reasons. Some gods, such as Artemis, Eileithyia, Aphrodite, Zeus, and Demeter, to name a few, were explicitly worshipped for their healing abilities or support in birthing. Other gods were revered in general because of their power over nature. People prayed to these gods for protection during childbirth, but also, as was the case with Artemis, to avoid the wrath of these gods, which was highly unexpected and may be taken out on either the mother or the child. Artemis was worshipped to obtain assistance during labor and to assure the birth of a healthy child as well as the continuation of the mother's life after giving birth. According to tradition, Artemis was capable of causing the death of women when they were giving birth. Hence, it was natural for humans to pray to escape her anger. Even though it was obvious that she had a temper and that she needed to be calmed down, Artemis was still considered to be the protector of young women, particularly during the transition from being a girl to becoming a woman, which included getting married, having children, and starting their own families. Artemis herself may be a midwife because, according to some interpretations of the narrative, she assisted in the delivery of her twin brother Apollo by her mother. Because of the meaning of her name, Eileithyia was another goddess connected with delivery. Her name means she who comes to aid. Eileithyia was adored by those who wanted to have an uncomplicated delivery because she could both hasten and postpone labor. The cave and the symbolic connotations associated with it, particularly the womb, came to play a significant role in Eileithyia's devotion. At every point throughout the processes of pregnancy and birthing, worship was performed and offerings were presented to the gods. They were prayed to before pregnancy for fertility, prayed to during pregnancy for easy labor and delivery, and offered offerings after childbirth as a thank you for the heavenly favor received. Iphigenia was honored by having the clothing of ladies who had passed away during childbirth given to her as a memento of the women who had lost their lives. People used to believe that by performing begging rituals before, during, and after childbirth, they would be blessed with children and have an easier time giving birth. To lessen the difficulty associated with the labor and delivery process, votive gifts in the form of statuettes and figurines were presented to the gods at religious sites and sanctuaries. Of course, gods and midwives both play a role. The ancient Greeks had every reason to avoid risk, so why didn't they? Why wouldn't they do everything in their power to guarantee the well-being of both the mother and the kid during the delivery process? Midwives were indeed highly regarded and valuable medical practitioners in those days, but since they couldn't ensure a healthy delivery, it's not surprising that people also placed their faith in the gods. There is little doubt that when things went wrong, it was far simpler to lay blame on the gods for their actions. If either the mother or the kid did not survive the birthing process, it was because the gods had willed it to be thus. After the delivery, the mother and infant both rested for close to 40 days after the process of giving birth. Before they were able to move around the house, they had to remain in bed for somewhere between 5 and 7 days. On the 10th day, there was a formal naming ceremony for the baby, who would later be formally presented to non-family members in a celebration after the 40 days were up. The celebration would take place after the naming ceremony. This ceremony included a public purification ritual that seems to have included the sacrifice of a dog, along with the burning of incense to purify the bodies of mother and child, as it was believed that childbirth was a polluting act. This was done because childbirth was seen as an act that contaminated the body. The event was followed by a celebratory feast, during which figurines depicting people preparing cakes and cakes themselves were used in a ceremony that is still preserved in the archaeological record. As long as the unborn child did not yet have distinguishable human characteristics, it was not considered unethical to terminate a pregnancy through medical means in ancient Greece. Abortion was likely a fairly common occurrence in the past for a variety of reasons, such as the fact that women with wandering uteri were prescribed intercourse as a means of relieving menstrual cramps, among other reasons. The majority of the time, it was the woman's responsibility to administer the abortion medication, and medical professionals were only called in when there were issues. The teachings of Hippocrates identify the squirting cucumber plant, often known as ecballium nowadays, as the most efficient method of inducing an abortion. Do you like this video? Give your response in our comments section below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates.